Woe to man when he comes again. To gaze upon his form is to invite madness. In order to serve him, I chose to make adjustments.
My favorite is when we, the audience, are watching a horror movie and the protagonist doesn't realize that they're in a horror movie yet. I think that's the sweet spot for horrific tension because the audience is one step ahead of the hero.
I was playing this Victorian horror video game. Man, I would love to do something that's like that.
This is a theme of existentialism and isolation, and Batman tends to work alone. He is battling this descent into madness. This Lovecraftian horror landscape really is about introducing elements of chaos and madness.
The great doom is coming.
As the foremost expert on the old ones, I've been asked by the Warner Brothers Pictures Company to act as consultant on a thrilling kinetoscope entertainment of the creature, Eog-Sotha the Destroyer. Saying the name Eog-Sotha draws this celestial destroyer to our realm. Hearing the name Eog-Sotha seals the listener's doom. Sorry.
We have brought this curse upon us all!
I often think of Batman as this really tragic hero. This story, I think, pushes his loss even further.
The curse lays the burden of undoing our misdeeds upon our children.
It is coming.
The thing about Lovecraft and the thing that the original book did so well, from the first page of the book, the Cobblepot expedition, there's this looming sense of dread.
It's this place. They fear it.
They deal with very sort of basic core human emotions. There's the thing that you know, then there's the thing that you're experiencing, but it's not familiar. And you're trying to figure out what is that. And you're trying to sort of quantify and understand it.
The great doom is coming to this world.
Existential horror is a deep examination of our human existence. This shocking realization that in this big universe, there's darkness and dread.
There is still a single hope. They require a book, the Testament of Ghoul.
The whole, Victorian thing of it's ripe for when fantastic things happen. It's out of the ordinary. Like a limited understanding of environment, science, medicine.
The city itself is so important to Bruce that in the destruction of that city, in this almost biblical plague that hits this city, it's beyond his control.
The Testament must be kept from them at all costs.
We're really trying to vignette a lot of things, make it darker. It's almost like a top-down lighting. It's almost like the real world or the normal world to be kind of a gloomier place. When the horror kind of elements come, we really sort of punch the colors up.
Talia! But how?
You know who I am. Good.
This is where we discover the realities of our own fears and anxieties. This is what we need to confront in order to better understand our own inner consciousness.
There's a very specific timing for horror. You want it to be like to smack you in the face, right? But then once it does, you want to like look at it and be horrified, and then how do you stretch that?
And I remember Sam always wanting to push in the vocal performance. As the story progressed, he's almost becoming lifeless as these scenarios mount.
Batman, he refuses to believe he's in horror movie. It's not until he actually does sort of set that aside that he's able to face the final challenge.
These ancient ones, these old gods, to look at them for a mere instant is to lose all sanity forever. They look like pickled mackerel.
The book brilliantly found these amazing hybrids in unexpected ways.
things like Croc
Make this gift a new vessel.
and Ivy, and even Harvey.
I won't let you down.
We're going to dial up that grotesque and even monstrous aspects. We're going to see them slightly differently.
Mike Mignola just took these characters and sort of put them in this story very naturally and really well.
And just knowing that some of these characters are really strange versions of the characters we've always known them to be.
Kill me.
It was fun to lean into that weirdness. That's as far as voicing these characters.
Take care of yourself. Huh?
I'll admit a lot of what I've seen seems to defy logic. But I assure you there's a rational explanation behind all of it.
We all know Batman, no matter what version he is, like, his superpower is his brain. On the other hand, in H.P. Lovecraft, it's seeking knowledge or the quest for trying to know the unknowable that is most deadly.
Bruce Wayne, he's sort of the best person suited, and even he can't figure it out.
Can't be another monster.
But what makes him great is that he has no superpower. There's always something in the back of our minds that say, hey, we could be that guy. In a horror film, it's got to be somebody that we can relate to.
He finds answers that also are just piling on to this insurmountable doom.
And it's that sense of discernment and adaptation. Most of these skills are psychological, and he's able to push through the uncertainty, the fear.
Bruce, run!
Batman's tragedies strengthen him. But in this story, I feel the tragedies are amplified.
Your dubiety will be your undoing.
We don't ever want to accept supernatural right away. We always want to say, well, there's got to be some logical explanation. So on that level, it's easy to connect to Batman.
Science cannot be trusted. Faith leads to destruction. Nature is our doom. Life is nothing more than a brief candle flickering before the misery of it falling over and lighting your papers on fire. Oh,
I can't pretend to know exactly what I'm about to face. But I do know that I must face it.
All of these experiences really bring us down to reclaiming our sense of self, our sense of personhood, our identity, a set of values. All those things can bring us back to Batman. Despite all these different threats and horrific elements that he's facing, he continues to persevere in his personhood. That will never change.
Something that you don't see a lot, certainly not in canon Batman, but is Batman talking to his father.
It's me, son. And I am so sorry.
In the book, it was the spirit of one of the fourth members of the Cabal.
It was our wretchedness that drew the thing to the threshold of our reality.
If Batman's going to be convinced that there's supernatural, then nothing less than the ghost of his father is going to be able to do it.
You call them forth, knowing what we'd done.
There's like a sense of almost like a spiritual duty, to family and the guilt that was inherited.
You must find the door before it fully opens.
How?
By becoming what you truly are.
There's a sense of he needs to right it somehow. He's seeking some sort of absolution.
So much of Lovecraft and the cosmic horror is like a dark and lurking evil that just to lay eyes upon it will drive one mad. In the story, and we also have in the movie, Batman saw it as a kid. He was able to repress somehow, because he's Batman, repress that madness.
Cthulhu shows up, and then how do you show that the fate of the world is going to get destroyed? I was using things from this video game that initially inspired me. You got to show states of basically cities witnessing it, and something's happening, and they're in trouble.
Existential horror threatens what makes us unique and individuals, our set of values, our identities, our sense of purpose. Also, this idea of future orientation, which is really important for having hope.
Decideme. You taught me.
As much as this story pushes the tragedy, there's still an element of a beautiful peace that comes from Batman choosing this fate, choosing to continue to go down the road that he has to, regardless of where the facts want to lead him, or as much as the facts want to make him just stop.
You are prepared for this sacrifice?
I am.
Then now, you are one of us.
Just tell me where to find the thing.
Where it began.
If we're all seeing the same insurmountable odds and futility of our existence, there's still some acceptance to say, well, let's make the best of it. All of us can find, I think, common ground.
There is a spell I heard of in Innismouth that we might escape our fate to some small degree before we are crushed forever by the giant tentacles of the Ancient Ones. A slight hope, but a hope nevertheless. Buret, you must remember this incantation. That is the only possible way to survive the coming cataclysm.
With stories, there's always that little fire, whether it's hope, good intentions. You do everything that you can to prepare, like in the case of Bruce Wayne. And then you realize through it that I need to adapt.
Forgive me, boys.
There is something about the resolution that leaves us with some anxieties. These true, deep examinations of feelings like existential dread aren't the kinds of feelings and experiences that can be resolved easily.
Before it can be truly saved, Gotham must be burned to the ground.
There is hope for Gotham. Knowledge is power, knowledge is deadly, and how do we manage to strike that balance? Because this is one of the darkest, most nihilist stories. You feel doomed from the first page, and there's no way Batman's gonna win, but in a weird way, he still manages to be a beacon of hope.
If we, the people in the city that he held so dear, ever needed him, really needed him, not even death itself could keep him away.